VOYNICH manuscript. It was named after the Polish-American antiquarian bookseller Wilfred M. Voynich, who acquired it in 1912. The Voynich manuscript is a detailed 240-page book written in a language or script that is completely unknown. Its pages are also filled with colorful drawings of strange diagrams, odd events and plants that do not seem to match any known species, adding to the intrigue of the document and the difficulty of deciphering it. The original author of the manuscript remains unknown, but carbon dating has revealed that its pages were made sometime between 1404 and 1438. It has been called the world's most mysterious manuscript. Theories abound about the origin and nature of the manuscript. Some believe it was meant to be a pharmacopoeia, to address topics in medieval or early modern medicine. Many of the pictures of herbs and plants hint that it may have been some kind of textbook for an alchemist. The fact that many diagrams appear to be of astronomical origin, combined with the unidentifiable biological drawings, has even led some fanciful theorists to propose that the book may have an alien origin. One thing most theorists agree on is that the book is unlikely to be a hoax, given the amount of time, money and detail that would have been required to make it. The TAOS hum. The town's harm. The new small town-to-town house in New Mexico is halted by strange bars which many described as being similar to the sound of the distant diesel engines. It can easily be heard by the naked ear sound detection devices such as microphones and GLF antenna. It was entirely unable to pick it up to the state no one knows the origin at the sound. All the reason behind this phenomena generally had only in quiet environments. The slow pitch sound can now be heard in various locations around the globe, ranging from Northern Europe, USA and even the UK on, and despite a 1997 order from the United States Congress to investigate the phenomenon, the prestigious research institutes involved were unable to discover anything, and the harm remains one of the world's weirdest unsolved mysteries. Aluminum wedge of AIUD. The aluminum wedge of AIUD, found in 1974. The aluminum wedge by AIUD is found in a sandy trench 10 meters deeply in Romania in the Roman town Provide. Is confirmed to be at least 400 years old, which didn't make much sense. Aluminum was discovered in 1808 and not produced in large quantities until the mid-1880s. Strange is still, the wedge was found alongside master ton buds, an ancient sawtooth Halifax thing that hasn't been alive for at least 11,000 years. The scientific consensus is that the wedge was made on Earth with its purpose yet to be identified, but many claim the artifact to be proof an alien visitor Earth. Maybe they accidentally landed their spaceship on a mast, in which frankly strikes sense as being a bit clumsy. The Overton Bridge. It was in Bridge in Scotland remains a mystery due to suicidal the hawks. This phenomenon began in the 1950s when people started noticing dogs suddenly and inexplicably jumping off the bridge and falling to their death on the rocks below. The majority of the dogs jump almost exactly the same spot between the two final parapets on the right-hand side of the bridge. Over the past 50 years, around 50 dogs have mysteriously decided to make this grisly leap, with 5 deaths reported over a 6-month period in 2006. But strangely, only long-nosed breeds seem to be affected: retrievers, Labradors and Collies. With some believing that the irresistible smile love mink is to blame, the so many months making the jump. Why this exact spot at this exact bridge has caused so many dogs to lead to their deaths remains a mystery, but it seems that the real mystery at this stage is why they have but a bloody fence up yet. The Loch Ness Monster. The Loch Ness Monster. The Loch Ness Monster has never been formally discovered, literally been sighted a number of times. The unknown animal inhabits Loch Ness in the Scottish Highlands, has baffled scientists for decades with aborted photos. The giant sea serpent living in the murky depths became an international sensation after appeared in the headlines in 1933. The report quoted someone as seeing something that resembled a dragon or prehistoric animal. Messi was apparently again spotted in 1960 with an aeronautical engineer filled the moving home in the water. Loch Ness. Digital enhancements to the footage years later seemingly revealed to Mohammed's rear body and flippers despite the almost celebrity status at the Loch Ness Monster. There haven't been any verified sightings of the creature since the 1920s, which seems suspect considering the attention it receives. Stonehenge. Stonehenge remains one of the world's greatest unexplained mysteries, estimated to be more than 5,000 years old. The reason why these large rocks were placed remains unexplained. Excavations point towards Stonehenge being built in 4 stages. The first being a series of holes dug around 3100 BC intended to religious ceremony. 1,000 years later, enormous bluestones from mountains in Wales were transported more than 240 miles to the Stonehenge area. Now this was apparently achieved before the wheel was invented, so how they accomplished this is perhaps the biggest mystery. Once transported, the stones were aligned perfectly with the midsummer sunrise, and stones was subsequently set up to form an incomplete double circle. The third stage involved more stones being transported from the Mopar Downs and Mia 25 miles away from the area. On the final stage occurred 5 centuries later, when the Welsh bluestones will rearrange into the site that we see today. Even after all this, meaning to Stonehenge still remains unclear. It could have been an observatory, burial ground, maybe just a really nice place to chill out. At this stage we'll never truly know. Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper. During 1888, East London witnessed a series horrific murders, most which occurred in the Whitechapel area. The name Jack the Ripper came from a letter sent to the newspaper The Time from an individual claiming to be behind the murders. The majority his victims were prostitutes. Their throats were cut, bodies severely mutilated, with some other bodies being discovered just minutes. If the killer left the scene, police at the time as several suspects but lacked the evidence for informal conviction. Living history to speculate in of a wild ways, with some pointing the finger. Prince Albert Victor, his Queen Victoria's grandson. The most popular theory is that Jack might have been a doctor or a butcher based on the evidence, the weapons used, and apparent knowledge. If human anatomy on a site known, Jack wasn't the first serial killer but was probably the first to appear in a large metropolis at a time when the general populace become literate and the press was a force for social change. The Rooter appeared amidst it a tremendous political turmoil, with many reporting on the crimes in a manner that helped further ulterior agendas. WOW signal. A WOW or signal. Jerry Ehrman was a volunteer for the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence project and is believed by some to be the first human being in history to receive a message from AIUD world in 1977. More scanning deep space radio waves. He certainly witnessed his measurements spiking. The signal is strong, was transmitted from the constellation Sagittarius, which is 120 light-years away from Earth, which roughly equates to 126 trillion miles. All attempts to pick up the signal again have since failed, resulting in natural speculation about its meaning and origins. The signal's name was derived from the exclamation of "wow" that Jerry wrote in the margin. The transmission's print, not exactly the most creative name in the world, champs. Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle on numerous airplanes, boats, and seemingly disappeared in the ocean between Florida, San Juan, and Bermuda, with the area now ominously known as the Bermuda Triangle. Human error, natural disasters, piracy, and equipment failure don't seem to be able to account for the mysterious loss of so many craft, leading to intoxicating theories including time warps. The first unsolved event took place during the 1950s. Flight 19 contained a group of 5 the United States Navy bombers who were on a training mission. The flight leader purportedly said, "We are entering whitewater. Nothing seems right. We don't know where we are. The water is green, now white." It was late to claim that Navy officials stated the planes flew off to Mars, which frankly seems like a large leap of judgment. All 14 and EDA on the flight were lost, as were all 13 crew members. The PBM Mariner, which apparently exploded while stamp searching for the original flight. One considerable amount of documentation verifies that the actual number has been inflated. There remains no solid explanation along which number of disappearances in the area. Flight MH370. Flight NH370 on mystery has continued to surround fated Malaysia Airlines flight NH370, which had 227 passengers and 12 crew members on board. The plane disappeared entirely during a flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing on March 8, 2014. Since then, a multinational search and rescue effort believed to be the largest in history was initiated. The Gulf of Thailand and the South China Sea. Malaysia Airlines stated the plane lost contact less than an hour after takeoff despite no distress signal or message being sent from the aircraft. While climbing to its assigned cruise altitude just 35,000 feet, traveling at 542 miles per hour, it suddenly ceased all communications and the transponder signal was lost on the cruise expected to contact a controlled in Ho Chi Minh City as the aircraft passed into the enemies in space, which was just north of the point when contact was lost. Captain Have another aircraft sought to reach the true flight NH370 just after 1:30 a.m. The captain city established contact, just heard static and mumbling. Since his disappearance, the search for the aircraft discovered 7.6 million square kilometers, that's equivalent to 11% to the Indian Ocean and 1.5% the surface. The public communication from Malaysian officials pertaining to the flight's disappearance have been subject to much criticism. The New York Times stated the Malaysian government and the airline released incomplete, imprecise and sometimes inaccurate information. All civilian officials have contradicted messages given by military leaders. The seeds of distrust created by this have led to a number of conspiracy theories involving the Malaysian government, ranging from to mention attacks, hijacking, all a successful attempt to hack the plane's systems. Alternatively, some even believe the flight to have been the victims have an extremely unlucky Me-Too strike. Two Iranian individuals were traveling on the plane what turned out to be stolen passports. Investigation suggests no links to terrorist groups. There are also 4 passengers who checked in for the flight but didn't show up to the airport. Only time will tell if we'll ever truly find out what happened to flight at age 37°C, but in this day and age it's truly puzzling how a plane can simply vanish without trace. Unfortunately for the families and friends of those on board, the truth behind the disappearance of Flight NH370 may never actually come to light on.